Good morning and welcome to Ask the Expert, an award-winning daily series from 8:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. on weekdays, here to help small businesses. If you've got any questions, please ask them in the comments during this live feed and we'll do our best to answer them. And if you need any more advice, then join the Intuit QuickBooks SMB community group on Facebook. There's loads of accountants and business experts on there answering everyone's questions 24/7. During the live session, we'll be running a poll, so please engage with it and we'll reveal the results at the end. My name's Johann Goree and I'm the Managing Director of the OnPoint Accounting Group. We're a group of various accounting firms dotted across the UK supporting startup and small businesses to get up and running and thrive as individual small businesses. I wanted to speak to you today about qualifications. Last week and the week before, we saw all the A-level results and GCSEs being released across the UK, and lots of positive news with higher grades and higher percentage of people getting high grades, which is all fantastic news. But I always like to remind employers that an employee that didn't get all their GCSEs or A-levels won't necessarily make a bad employee. So yeah, bad results certainly don't result in bad people. I think we get very hung up as employers on having 5 GCSEs or 3 A-levels or got to have an A-level in a certain topic. Now, there are times and circumstances when you do need someone to have the relevant qualifications to do the job. So if you're recruiting a lawyer, then yes, they need to have the correct qualifications for that role. But if you're recruiting someone as a team leader or a manager in your bistro or in your restaurant or in a coffee shop or in a retail environment, actually, some of the best candidates are those that have got experience over qualifications. So while we need to factor in qualifications, it shouldn't be the be-all and end-all that employers are looking at. Personally, I always think you should recruit aptitude over qualifications. It's very easy to teach someone how to do a job. It's very difficult to teach them personal traits such as initiative, innovation, customer relations, communication. That's a lot longer and harder to teach than it is to teach someone how to do certain tasks within a job. So as all these young people are out there looking at what their options are, I think it's really important to remember there's no right way. You don't need to have gone school, college, university into a job. I know none of my friends that have done university, for example, have then gone in and to carry out a role in a career related to that qualification. So as employers, especially of small businesses, I think it's really important that we look at a CV and we take into account their qualifications if appropriate. But it's that first interview, that face-to-face chat, it's that feel you get of the person, your read of that person, and their aptitude to learn and their attitude to learning and developing and growing. That's really important for us. As we are growing our businesses, as we're rebounding from COVID and we're hopefully creating new opportunities, especially with schemes like Kickstarter that's helping put 16 to 18-year-olds into work. It's really important that we don't just get hung up on these A's, B's, C's qualifications, because as we can see, more and more people are coming out with these bits of paper that have got the same qualification levels on. So we have to assess them on their aptitude and attitude. And actually, some of the best business owners in the world, from big businesses to small businesses, generally have done quite poorly at school and education. It's not been the environment for them. It's not motivated them because it's not inspired them. It's not tested their innovation, etc. It's all about conforming to these classes and these topics. I was average at best at maths if you asked me to do trigonometry today, I wouldn't have a clue. But I can quite successfully run a group of accounting businesses and run a business and understand all the financials. So that lack of understanding of deep into maths hasn't been any relevance to me. And you know, a lot of the business leaders out there, it transpires actually a lot of the best business leaders have been dyslexic at school, and they've really struggled with reading, writing, and maths and stuff like that. But actually, when it comes to their businesses, they're really innovative and they're really creative. So employing someone without qualifications isn't the end of the world. I've recruited many a person in the accounting world with every bit of paper and qualification you can imagine, but actually it transpired it couldn't be put into practice. They understood the theory, they just couldn't apply it. Whereas we've taken people on board that have got no qualifications and we've trained them up in it, and they can run circles around a lot of the people that have gone through college and university and done their degrees, etc. that way. And I know I certainly value life experience and experience that people bring to the table more than I do a qualification. So I think it's really important that we don't dismiss young people, or anyone for that matter, just because their CV's perhaps not got as many bits of paper and qualifications attached to it. We need to be taking into consideration their experiences, their knowledge, their innovation, their initiative, etc., and really try to understand what value that person can bring to us as a small business, whilst also keeping some value on their qualifications. So yeah, that's my insight for today in relation to all of the fantastic results that came out in the last couple of weeks. There is no one right direction. I didn't do university, I didn't do college. I packed college in after about 6 weeks. It just wasn't for me. Ironically, it was a business BTEC diploma thing I was meant to be doing, and it just wasn't for me. The learning style wasn't right. Whereas I'm now currently working my way through management and leadership qualifications, and I'm on my level 7 leadership and management qualification. Actually, I'm loving it. I'm enjoying doing the work for it at home. But I know if I sat in a university or a school trying to do it, it just wouldn't have worked for me, because we've all got our different learning techniques, etc. So yeah, hopefully that gives you guys something to think about when you're recruiting your new staff, especially as we come out of COVID and hopefully the economy's reopening, businesses are growing, and there's more opportunities for you to employ people. So yeah, hopefully that helps. So let's move on then to our questions for today. We've already got quite a few coming in. Tracy on Instagram DM: I receive and spend money in both British pounds and US dollars via PayPal. However, all my transactions on QuickBooks are currently showing as US dollars. Is there a way I can see differences in QuickBooks? So if you've got a QuickBooks license that is the top license, the premium license, it's got the ability to turn on multi-currencies. So you can go into the settings, turn multi-currencies on in there, and then you can start setting up which currencies you're going to be trading in. And hopefully that will help. I'd need to have a look at what other problems there might be there, though. So it might be PayPal sending through data in a wrong style or something like that, if that doesn't solve the problem with the multi-currency feature. So I hope that helps, Tracy. We've got Mark from Twitter DM. My accountant still asks me for my monthly bank statements, even though QuickBooks imports my bank and credit card statement. Is there a legitimate reason for this? Overall, Mark, yes, there is. A good accountant / bookkeeper will always want to reconcile the bank to whatever data has been fed into QuickBooks. So they'll ask you for your bank statement so they can make sure that the feed from your bank to QuickBooks hasn't been damaged in any way at any point. So there's no duplication, there's no transactions missing, and the balance on the statement on the last day of the month matches the balance in QuickBooks on the last day of the month. So that is a legitimate reason. QuickBooks are developing some features with open banking, which means that statements will be able to be pulled through into QuickBooks for us to be able to reconcile. But whilst QuickBooks has developed the feature, they're waiting for some banks, or most banks, to catch up and update their software at their end to give that functionality through. But there is already some people out there doing it, some banks doing it. So yes, there is a legitimate reason, Mark, for them to check. I know we certainly do it, but the more and more confident we get with clients, banks working accurately. So, for example, Starling Bank, we don't very rarely ask for bank statements. We just tend to do it at the end of the year, or quarterly if they're VAT registered. But the more confident we get with the banks being accurate and the information being genuine that's pulling through, and the reconciling working, then the less often we might ask for bank statements from a client. So I hope that helps. That is a genuine reason for your accountant asking for their bank statements each month. And the next question is from Mitch on Facebook. I'm all for finding young employees who perhaps need a bit of a leg up. However, it's quite a tricky thing to come across or advertise for. How would you go about recruiting candidates like this? It's the same as anything we do in business when we want to advertise. It's about thinking of where they're hanging out. So there's probably no point in advertising in a newspaper for a young person to start working with you. I'd be looking at putting my adverts on social media. Just find out think about where they hang out, where they're going to see your advert, and then put it there. It's the same thing as where you're going to advertise your business that provides services to the building trade. Well, you could try advertising in the cafes that builders eat breakfast in. You could try advertising at builders merchants, but there's probably no point advertising in a social media platform that builders aren't going to go to. So it's just about finding out where the young people that you're trying to advertise to employ are, and so that they will see your advert there. I hope that helps, Mitch. Got a question from Margaret on Twitter DM. Any advice on how we should assess a candidate's core skills if we're not taking into consideration their GCSEs or A-levels? So you've got quite a few options here, Margaret. So you've got verbal conversations. You could say if you're in retail and you're going to need them to do some kind of certain amount of maths, you could set a little test in the interview for them. If you're delivering technical skills, so you're a video creator, ask them to create a video of a subject and send that in, so you can assess that. It's about thinking outside of the box and not just reading off a CV. So there's that verbal conversation, there's little tests you can do, get them to send in samples of their work, if they're in creativity, for example. Give them a trial run. Just remember to pay them for that trial run to make it fair to both parties. If you're going to bring someone in as a barman or a waiter, give them a trial shift to see how it goes. We always have probationaries in our employment contracts for this purpose. It's so we've got time to train, develop, and see how they get the core skills up to date. And if they do, great. If they don't, then we move on and find someone else. So yeah, there's plenty of ways to assess a candidate without having to look at their without looking at their GCSEs and A levels. Even that letter of application in their CV, if you're worried about their written communication, that letter of application for the job and their CV should be a good indicator of what their written communication is like. but then maybe liaise with them via email to set up the interview. And that will also show you what their email communication skills are like. But yeah, basically at every point, whatever you're doing, it's kind of a test on their core skills. So it's always good to have a look at. We have got a question in from Ella on Instagram DM. Any tips on how to tackle negative cash flow situations? I had to borrow money a few times in the last few months to keep the business going. So we do this quite a lot with our clients. A lot of people will advise you to go and look straight at the sales, increase your sales. That will help your cash flow. And while that is completely and utterly true, it's also the hardest thing to do. So it takes time, and you might not have time. So whilst trying to increase your sales and work out, are there services, you've got some customers already, you've got a band of your customers, are they having every service? Is there any services you could upsell to those customers to help get quick sales? Could you run an offer online to get quick sales? That's all great, but that's hard work to maintain those sales. So what I also always get people to look at is their expenses and where the money's leaving the bank account. So, for example, I was looking at a client's accounts the other day. They spent £900 in bank fees last year because they were with a high street bank who charge for every single transaction. They charge an amount. For every cash deposit, every cash withdrawal, every direct debit, it all gets charged. And when they're busy and they're turning over a lot of different transactions, it was costing them a fortune. So we looked at their banking provider, and we helped them move to a different banking provider, which has now saved them over the next year £900. So that's a really good result, really nice and easy. But always look through all your all your expenses. And if you're not sure if you can do better, ask your accountant or your bookkeeper, because they're going to see lots and lots of different businesses' accounts, and they're going to see the ins and outs, and they're going to know if you're paying over the odds for something, or for a service or a product, compared to your competitors that they may have on their books as clients for their accounting firm. So yes, push your sales. Think, can you upsell to your current customer base? Because that's an easier sell than it is to go and find someone brand new. Even if that's the case that you're an online business and you're selling things online, Amazon do it very well. Of you add something to the basket, and they then recommend other customers that brought this also brought this. So I brought a power washer the other week. I added it to my basket, and instantaneously I got 3 other recommendations. The last customers that have brought this power washer have also brought this hose pipe, this connector, and this cleaning chemical for their car. So instantly, Amazon had tried to upsell me about £100 worth of stuff on top of the £100 power washer I just brought. So add-on sales can be fantastic, really easy. But whilst you're working on sales, let's plug some holes. See where you're spending money and where you can save it. And accountants and bookkeepers are fantastic for helping you with this. If yours isn't able to help you with that, then it would be worth looking around for someone that's a bit more proactive and can help you save some money there. I hope that helps. Our next question is from Brooke on Facebook Messenger. I run a medium-sized business with a lot of manual labour, so often my new starters don't need good exam results. However, to move up to higher positions, they do need some grasp of communication, numeracy, and professionalism. What should we be doing to develop these skills? So this is a fantastic attitude, Brooke. You've taken on people that haven't perhaps got the qualifications and stuff. You've taught them the basics of the job, and now you want to help them move forwards in their careers with you, which is brilliant to see. So lots of different ways. Shadowing, buddy them up with someone that is doing that job that they're going to look at, and get them to look at, observe, learn, and be mentored by them. And that way you can they can learn from seeing and doing. You could, if you've got 3 or 4 people that you think these are the next team leaders, you can develop a bit of a scheme, a plan, a process, a system where you're going to say, look, you sit them down, you say, look, I'm going to help develop you into this next step. That's going to involve some shadowing. It's going to involve us sitting down and going through some examples and working together on various topics and discussing how we respond to different scenarios. And it just gets them involved. It gets them motivated to learn and develop, and they see opportunity in the future. So I hope that helps. Maria on Twitter DM, how do I run a report for a trial balance for a specific period? Whenever I customize the date, it gives me the balance of my entire history and not the specified dates I want. If this is in QuickBooks, Maria, it should be giving you the dates that you're putting in. It'll be worth having a chat with the QuickBooks tech team. If it's not, also have a chat with your accountant or bookkeeper. They might be able to help you because they will be living and breathing QuickBooks. It's what they use all day, every day in theory. So if your accountant and bookkeeper can't help you, give the QuickBooks tech team a call, because there might be a bug there that needs looking at. But if you're selecting custom date periods, it should give you a trial balance for that. So I hope that helps. Last couple of questions then. So we've got Ada on Facebook Messenger. What sort of training or apprenticeship schemes are accessible to most businesses to help upskill young new starters? Just curious that training up sometimes takes a lot of time and money. We don't always have it. Completely and utterly agree. It is an investment when you're upskilling and training people of any age. So you do need to see a return on your investment. I completely understand and agree with that. The best way to find out what apprenticeship schemes are available to your business is to go and talk to your local college or university. Probably your local college. They will be able to help direct you to the right resources. They'll be able to tell you what's available in your industry. They'll be able to tell you what local funding or government funding is available. And the funding available can change from council to council. And it certainly changes between England, Wales, Ireland, and Scotland. So definitely worth going and having a chat with your local college. They will have someone who is an expert in apprenticeships in your local area, and they'll be able to give you all the information you need about both the courses, requirements to enter the course, your commitment, their commitment, and the funding side of things. So yeah, hopefully that helps you. It's a fantastic thing to be able to offer apprenticeships, and certainly something that you want to, if you can push doing, then fantastic. But just go and talk to your local college, and they'll have all the expert resources you need, or have a chat with your local council. They'll probably have a education development person involved with apprenticeships, and they'll have an idea of what funding and stuff's out there for you. And then you just need to be as invested in it as the young person is, to make sure that both parties are getting a return on their investment of time and money. So I hope that helps. Right, our next question is from Sam on Instagram. A friend recently suggested taking credit insurance to protect my business against the risk of customers' insolvency. Can you help me understand if this is a good idea and how it can help me? It's difficult to say, Sam, because I don't know what your business is. I don't know what you trade in. I don't know how you trade. If you are at risk of a lot of clients going into insolvency and that's been happening to you, then yes, taking out some kind of insurance against the invoices you're raising against them is a good idea. Most credit insurance is actually just invoicing, invoice factoring, where the credit provider will pay your invoice and then they'll take a chunk for themselves as administering and taking the payments from the customer, and they will guarantee potentially for a bit more of an extra fee that they will deal with the invoice if it's not paid and someone goes insolvent. it's certainly worth reading all the terms and conditions of the credit insurance policy that you're looking at, just to make sure you are covered and what type of customers it covers. So I know a lot of invoice factoring companies, for example, will only cover limited companies. They won't cover sole traders and individuals. And they'll only cover limited invoices going to limited companies. So it's definitely worth checking all that out and having a look at it. Have a chat with your accountant or bookkeeper as well, just to make sure that they see it as a viable option for you, because they'll know your business inside out, which I don't at this point. So I hope that helps. And we are running out of time today. So I'm just going to finish off with one last question from Max on Twitter DM. I'm in the construction industry and I'm self-employed. Can I claim back mileage since all of the work is temporary? Max, it's worth having a chat with your bookkeeper or accountant with this, just to fully understand which part of the travelling you can and can't claim back for. But if you're driving between jobs, yes, then you can claim back that mileage. If you're on a job and you're driving to a building depot to pick up materials or something, you can claim back that mileage, yeah. But definitely have a chat with your accountant to make sure that you're only claiming the mileage that you're allowed to claim. So yeah, all right. Thank you very much for all those questions. Some really good ones there. The poll results are in, and we asked, as an employer, what do you think is more important when hiring, qualifications or aptitude? And I'm really pleased to say that 20% thought qualifications was more important and 80% thought aptitude was more important. And there are always going to be industries and businesses that need those qualifications for legal reasons. You know, you can't be a lawyer without the appropriate qualifications in law. And you can't be a doctor without the appropriate medical school training. So yes, qualifications are going to be relevant to certain industries and certain roles in those industries. But the majority of roles, I would always say you want to value aptitude over qualifications. So that's a really interesting poll there to finish the morning off with. So yeah, thank you for answering those questions. So thank you for tuning in. If you want to get in touch with me, you can send me a message on LinkedIn or on Twitter. Just search for Johann Goree. And I'm more than happy to answer any questions, etc. anyone sends me. And coming up on Ask the Expert tomorrow is Jack Griffiths, a co-founder of the luxury loungewear company Snuggie. So tune in to find out how to manage unexpected financial hurdles in your business. And as a reminder, if you need any more advice, then make sure you join the official Intuit QuickBooks SMB community group from Facebook. There's accountants and business experts in there 24/7, always answering their questions and sharing their experiences and knowledge, which is a really useful resource. Really enjoyed answering your questions this morning, so I hope you all have a fantastic day. Thank you very much.